Hello, this is Juliet at Healing Water Sanctuary in Glastonbury, and I am this morning wanting to tell you about the trauma training that I'm offering for therapists. Now, the reason that I felt to do this is that many therapists do their trainings in acupuncture, massage, or they could be medically trained even, but they don't have the trauma skills. And it's really important to understand how trauma is actually a really challenging condition for many people, and that we don't know very often that we're suffering from trauma. And people that are suffering from trauma often have extreme symptoms of anxiety and fear, anger, often very highly charged emotional states. And it may be that they go along to a therapist and they get activated into some of those emotional states during the therapy practice, through the session, through the massage, through stimulating a particular memory in the body, that they might become activated into a fear response, for instance. So how do you as a therapist actually hold that situation? How do you actually make it safe for your client? Or if you're a medical doctor and people get very nervous when they go for medical procedures, how can you hold your patient in a way that they feel safe and relaxed, which actually supports the immune system functioning and helps them get through the complex and difficult procedure without being re-traumatized? So this is a training that I'm offering to anyone that's actually in this kind of role with people, that they need to understand how to deal with high levels of activation in their clients. And on the training, I'm going to deal with some really important points that come up that you need as a skill base in order to support your client. So I'm going to be focusing on, first of all, how you can hold a really calm, strong presence for your client, how you can be a container so that you're not rattled by what they are going through, and more importantly, that you can feel confident and really support your clients, and they in turn can feel confident and supported by your presence. So presence is a really important thing to learn. In addition to that, I will be talking very much about boundaries, how you can support your client having good, strong boundaries, because when people have been traumatized, often their sense of boundary is destroyed, especially if there's been overwhelming incidents or accidents or abuse. So learning to help people rebuild their boundaries is important. I will also be teaching you about somatic experiencing, about how the way that you feel a sensation in your body is an important step in healing trauma. To simply go into a highly activated state with the idea that you're releasing emotions and helping your client move on can actually be very damaging and re-traumatizing for your client. So teaching them and you learning yourself how to experience emotion not as a highly charged state, but as a sensation in the body, that you can begin to track this sensation and then allow it to move through easily and fluidly through your body so that it can clear. Emotions aren't a reservoir. For instance, anger isn't, you don't have a reservoir of anger that you can empty out and then it's all finished with. Anger is something that happens every time you get triggered and activated. So this concept of catharsis, that you can get somebody into a really highly charged state and they're going to clear all their trauma, is a real misconception and very damaging. I will also be teaching you about frozen trauma energies in the body, how when somebody's been stopped in the process of trying to save themselves in a life-threatening situation, say they needed to run for their life and they were actually literally stopped and they couldn't get away, and then they went into a collapse state, how those frozen trauma energies in the body can actually then become the foundation for pain and discomfort and fear in the body at a later time. I will teach you how to help those energies move through the body. Those are just a few of the things that you will learn on this training. It's a very in-depth training, and it's also a training where you will have the possibility to work with your own trauma. This is not just a theoretical experience. This is about actually feeling it in your body and being able to go through the process yourself and significantly shift those unconscious elements that are in your body that you need to clear in order to be able to really calmly hold, create that container for other people to heal systems. I will also teach you about safety, how to create a really safe environment for your client, and how to work with the social nervous system of the client to help them be able to be in communication. The social nervous system is often shut down when there's been very early childhood trauma. So to be able to bring that back online and to help them communicate and be back in charge of their space and to feel that they are safe in their space. I will also teach you about resourcing, how to help your client to be resourced, to teach your client resources, to be able to assess how resourced your client is in any particular instance. It's a real dance when you're working with trauma, is to when to slow down the process, when to slow down the pace, and when to work with a higher level of activation. And you need to have the skill to be able to be all the time checking their level of resource whilst simultaneously checking your level of resource. So how good is your holding capacity at any point, to teach you to be able to monitor both the state of your client and the state of yourself simultaneously, so that you can do this dance all the time maintaining safety. I will also teach you about titration, how the client can actually be able to go into states of activation and out again in a way that's manageable, and pendulation, how they can simultaneously move between these different states in a way that gradually unlocks the trauma. I will teach you about decoupling trauma from emotional states where a trauma becomes very layered with intense emotional experience and then mental constructs on top of that. So to be able to deconstruct, to decouple it, so to pick it apart so that people have a whole different viewpoint of it and a different feeling tone around it, and how they can step out of trauma time where they're continually recycling the trauma and into present time, how to help them come into the present moment. I will also teach you about how people can reframe their traumatic experiences when they've had a very, very difficult traumatic experience that has completely ruined their life, that's coloured their life for maybe 20 or 30 years, how they can finally reframe that and turn it around so that they actually find some gold in the situation, so that it's no longer a sense of agony and loss to them. And I can also help you understand how to guide your client into creating a better vision for their life, a sense of purpose, but beginning to bring some energy and moving into a sense of purpose in their life, how they can move from a frozen state of trauma through what can be a very intensely activated state of fight and flight, and finally into a sense of purpose and direction and drive, using the frozen trauma energies that were locked into the body now as the force for being able to energize their life. Because when people have been traumatized, their energy system's very locked down. But as you release this, then there's the potential, amazing potential for change and growth. And when you can really help your client track that, then their life can change very significantly, and they will be very, very happy as a result of the shift. So their whole life can be transformed in those instances. It's very powerful. And so those are just some of the things, and talking about it is just to give you a little taster of actually what you're liable to experience on the training, but in fact your experience will be much more in depth because you will be going through many of the processes that you will then be able to take your client through. I will be able to give you an understanding of how the autonomic nervous system, fight or flight response kicks in, and how the autonomic nervous system also has another branch which causes parasympathetic shock and shutdown to happen, and how to get these freed up again. So help you understand what a healthy nervous system is like and how to recognize high levels of activation in your clients when they're going into excessive lows or excessive highs, and how you can help them modulate that, how they can learn how to regulate their own nervous systems, since trauma is a deregulation of the nervous system. You'll also have an understanding what's happening with your nervous system and how regulated it is, and whether you also are having excessive highs and lows, and recognize your own triggers that might send you into hopelessness and overwhelm or anger. So those are some of the things that will be of significant help for you in working with your clients, irrespective of whether you're a talking professional or you're a hands-on professional, or whether you're a dentist or a physiotherapist. You could be a social worker, for instance, and these skills would still be helpful to you, or you can be a teacher and these skills can be helpful to you. So anyone that's dealing with highly traumatized people, it's useful to know how these skills can actually be of great benefit in helping you work with your clients. So even if you're a fire person or a police officer, these skills are a significant help for you. So those are just some of the things, and talking about it is just to give you a little taster of actually what you're liable to experience on the training, but in fact your experience will be much more in depth because you will be going through many of the processes that you will then be able to take your client through. The training is in October this year, it starts this year, and it runs for 9 months, and there are 6 modules, and each module is very in depth, and each module builds on the work of the last module. So if you feel that this is helpful for you, I know for certain that it will significantly give you greater confidence and a greater ability to work with your clients. So if this speaks to you and you would like to do the training, then please contact me, and I'm also going to do a free webinar that you can have more information and ask questions. That's coming soon. So I look forward to meeting you, and please pass this on because trauma is a very significant issue on the planet. I'm really committed to bringing world peace to the planet, and I know that the amount of global violence and war and poverty is very much fueled by the trauma that we're all carrying in our systems. So if you also would like to see a different planet, then I look forward to meeting you.